Welcome back to ChäoS Head. We left off in chapter 2 and I plan to continue it. Maybe Nishijou Takumi was a fictional existence and Nightheart was my true self.
ねえ、ナイトハルト。
I called to the paladin in the center of my monitor. Am I controlling you or are you controlling me? Which is it? Are you real and am I the avatar? What if the world I was in right now was a game? That would explain everything. Yeah. If, in the same way that I was watching the Nightheart inside my monitor, if I too were being watched by someone, wow, this guy thinks exactly the same as I must be insane. Whose eyes are those eyes? That person would have to be the player controlling me. If so, I'd like him to play my role better. But an avatar can't voice complaints. It would make sense. It would have made sense if Shogun and I were the same person. Come to think of it, Lizelot was in a similar situation. It was impossible for Nightheart and Lizelot to ever exist in Basilite at the same time, because they had only one player, me. Maybe in a similar matter, Nishijou Takumi and Shogun couldn't exist in this world at the same time. One could also contemplate that the possibility that it was a bug. Speaking of bugs, my running into weird girls and murder cases might have been due to a bug as well. The image Shogun had sent me flickered across my mind and I held my head. I shook it despairingly from side to side. I want to run away from everything. If there's really a player out there controlling me, I'm begging you, please reset me. And rebuild me once more from scratch. Wow, that's deep. That's a long black screen. That really was a long black screen. The university's hospital's waiting room. Hello. I want to go back. Can I go back? Yes. The university's hospital's waiting room was packed with old people waiting. Their turn to be seen by a doctor. Were waiting their turn to be seen by a doctor. Nothing about this table. What the? Tableau, I guess. Tableau had changed. From several years ago. It was enough to make me think that time had stopped. Alright. I shouldn't have clicked. Worse, the air was stagnant, as befitted the stench of disinfectants, and everyone had dark looks on their faces. Try to spend 5 minutes in a place like this and you get depressed. What the hell is that at the bottom there? You'd get depressed enough you want to die. There we go. Get depressed enough you want to die. I don't like hospitals. Since I was little, I had been terrified of how there are hardly ever any traces of a human presence in the hallways beyond the lobby. Alright. Let me read the backlog yet again. Though there tend to be lots of people in the lobby itself. I guess. It was almost as though the scent of death lurked in those hallways. I thought this itself was the hospital's true face, and that things far more horrifying and eerie were hidden at the ends of corridors. That's how I feel about hospitals. I fucking hate hospitals. That was why I hadn't really wanted to come here. But there was something I needed to verify no matter what. And so, unable to avoid visiting, I intently waited for my turn. Is he going to see a psychiatrist or something? Or a doctor? See if he has a sleep disorder. Even after I entered Ensu, the words Yua had left me with spun around and around in my head, making it impossible for me to concentrate. As a result, I worried about this and that all the way until morning, and became seriously scared that something about me might be abnormal. By coming to the hospital like this, I hoped the doctor would give me the what the hell? Backlog. Would give me their official guarantee that Nishijo Takumi was perfectly normal. I wanted proof that Yua, not I, was the one with the issues. Alright. I was used to coming to this hospital's psych ward, although I'd unthinkingly nodded when the young lady at the desk asked me if it was my first time being examined there. Ever since the aforementioned bus accident, my mother had brought me here at regular intervals. When I entered middle school, the doctor responsible for me diagnosed me as completely cured, and because I stopped going there, it had been about 4 years since my last visit. The doctor I was initially assigned to was Professor Moroku, who's said to be highly influential in his field, but he examined me just a few times before switching with a doctor who had been one of his pupils. Hold on. Despite being called a pupil, he wasn't particularly young. If anything, his look. What the hell, man? These translators. He looked older than he should have been. All right. Who the hell is that guy? Some SP? Last night I had suddenly recalled that the doctor's Takashina's words. Oh, look at that. We actually get the furigana from the kanji left over. So, I'm quite sure they just linked those together. How great.
ここは病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
Holy shit, that voice actor! It's Julius. From Zero no Tsukaima. I hated the hospital, but he was very kind to me, and I had the impression that he was a good person. Even then, I had utterly succeeded in deceiving all the adults around me to the very end. Dr. Takashina was the one who saw through me and declared me fully healed.
あの人に調べてもらえれば。
Holy fuck, you're gay. It's cool. What would he say if he knew I turned into a gross otaku? No, it's been too long. He must have forgotten who I was in the first place. I don't think doctors forget that easily. Alright, this is an illusion. I was soon called to the examination room. So much for my thinking I'd have to wait a really long time. So that means since we didn't get these flash and the distorted background, I wasn't seeing a delusion when you found out, so we know that for sure. Why had there been so many people in the lobby? It'd be quite a twist if they were being paid to sit around there and make the hospital rooms make the hospital seem popular. It was a different room from 4 years earlier. When I entered, a familiar face was there to greet me, and before the woman.
いやー、西條くん。
What the hell? Image of you seems really weird. Dr. Takashina put on an amiable smile, stood up and offered me his hand. Realizing that he wanted a handshake, I hastily returned his grip.
また君に会えて嬉しいよ。いや、嬉しいというのは変かな。君にしてみれば、またここに来るというのは辛いことなわけだからね。
It had been 4 years since we'd seen each other, but Dr. Takashina was incredibly friendly. I had been kind of nervous, but all at once I found myself able to relax.
それで、今日はどうしたんだい?
Dr. Takashina urged me to sit, so I settled down in a chair. Perhaps because he'd released me from my anxiety, I spoke about everything that had happened to me and everything that might still happen to me in one breath. Being unaccustomed to talking made me get blocked up countless times, but Dr. Takashina kept listening and nodding with a serious look on his face the whole time, without trying to rush me. I talked about all of it. Of course, from Demon Girl to Yua, it occurred to me that it might be dangerous to tell him, but I had no one else to rely on.
結論から先に言おうか。
After hearing me out, Dr. Takashima briefly fell into thought, then opened his mouth.
君は正常だよ。
So, at this point in time, I might have had a different doctor, and he'd have told me I was insane if I took the red pathway.
何の問題もない。
本当ですか？
もちろん。
Those were the words I had hoped for above any others. I had come all the way to this hospital just to hear them. I had been fearful, not knowing what I should do if he told me... if he told me stop yawning, you're abnormal. But I was so glad he'd been the one to examine me.
むしろおかしいのはその楠木さんという女性だね。
About you?
西条くんの話だけで判断するのは難しいが、おそらくその女性は精神的な障害を患っているだろう。
That's a bit too much, Doc.
今後君に危険を及ぼすような行動に出る可能性がある。すぐに警察に通報しよ
う。え？
What? The police? That might be the safest approach. Yeah, and what about if she tells them she found a stake in your room? Yua was insane. She was weird in the head. She was insane in the membrane. I shuddered at the thought that she might start stalking me again.
もちろん、僕も責任を持って君を保護するつもりだ。
Looking at me reassuringly, he patted me on the shoulder as though to encourage me. He even handed me his business card. His cell phone number was printed there.
何か問題が起きたらいつでも連絡をくれて構わないよ。24時間いつでも君のところに飛んでいくからね。
Wow, you must really be gay for this guy if you're having this kind of delusion about him.
いいんですか？
当たり前だよ。僕は君の主治医なんだから。
I was on the verge of tears. I thought from the bottom of my heart that I was truly grateful to have been placed under this man's care. Such good doctors must be quite rare nowadays.
悪魔女のことについても通報した方が良さそうだね。西条くん、君の見たその女がニュージェネの真犯人で間違いないよ。これはものすごい目撃証言だ。
Dr. Takashina seemed a little thrilled, but it didn't come out in his voice. His manner of speaking was as soothing as ever.
事件は西条くんのおかげで解決だ。君は渋谷のヒーローだよ。
I doubt it.
僕はこの瞬間に立ち会えて実に光栄に思う。
Notice the sound in the background has faded. That is fucking creepy in a really weird way. I know they programmed it just like that. I was a hero? Fucking scared the shit out of me, you fucking game! I was a hero? This wasn't Netsu. Someone like me could never become a hero. Or be a hero. But once I began imagining it, I started yawning. God damn it! Come on, let me open my window here. My face started flaming. Shibuya's female middle school students and high school students and college students and office ladies would all see me off with squealing cheers. I'd become stunningly popular and charismatic. It'd be cool to become a PV. Whoa. more like an AV, woo, a TV personality. But since I don't like being in front of a lot of people, I'd create a startup business instead, and I'd make a killing as a charismatic company president. I'd be in a harem situation with lots of gorgeous secretaries waiting on me. Of course, I'd triggered flags for all of them, and they'd be soppily in love with me. I'd live in a high-rise apartment in Roppongi and employ a bunch of cute maids, like a maid cafe meant just for my own personal use. Naturally, they'd provide sweet and luxurious nightly services as well, and so on, and so on.
まさに勝ち組。
Alright, end of delusion. That was a weird one, but I liked it. When I came back to myself, I was still seated on a sofa in the lobby. I glanced around in puzzlement, unable to grasp my situation. There was no possibility of breath in my room. There's nearly no oxygen here. A hunchbacked old lady was sitting next to me. Her eyes were buried in wrinkles, and I couldn't tell whether she was sleeping or awake. When I looked at the clock above the reception counter, it indicated that an hour had passed since I first began waiting here in the lobby. Had it all been a dream? Yes, it is. I might have dozed off as I waited, due to not having slept since yesterday. It would have been so nice if the dream were reality. I was terribly disappointed. In the end, I was forced to wait another 2 hours before they finally called my name. Oh boy, here we go. When I entered the examination room, I experienced the hallucination that I was having a repeat of the same dream as before. What? When I entered the examination room, I experienced the hallucination that I was having as a repeat, I guess. Dr. Takashina looked at me just the same way he had in my dream. No, it was simply that he hadn't changed in the 4 years since we last met. But it didn't rise from his chair or offer me a handshake.
今日はどうしました?
And then, like in my dream, he didn't get all nostalgic about reuniting with me. I doubt any doctor would.
西条です。
ん? ああ、これはご丁寧に。高階です。はじめまして。
He bowed his head to me with a smile. I couldn't say anything. I guess he forgot about you, since he's doing a counter introduction. Nice to meet you. Was that what he said just to me now? No mistaking it. He had forgotten about me. Of course, 4 years had passed since then. But I thought he, if no one else, would remember me. I'd embraced such expectations all on my own. But upon having them shattered, my heart abruptly began to overflow with loneliness and emptiness. I felt that he denied my existence. He looked me in the eyes as he spoke. I averted my gaze.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、何かあったのかな?
Yes, that was written on the questionnaire form. But there was no longer any point. If he didn't remember me, then I guess he's about to say your name now.
別にいいじゃん。
Oh, what's up, Sarah?
先生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
I can see your nipples. Alright, enough about that. Yes, that is true, Sarah. Don't back the fuck off. Alright. I hadn't come here to see Dr. Takashina. I had come here to prove that I was a normal human being. Reuniting with Dr. Takashina was nothing more than a bonus. So he'd forgotten about me? So what? If Sarah-tan hadn't warned me in time, I'd have been in danger of losing myself. See? And the same guy talks to me again. I have been online for 4 hours since I last recorded. Guy starts talking to me when I'm fucking recording again. Typical. About some stupid days game. You know what? Check this shit out. Fucking yes. Close my Amazon Messenger. Fuck off. God. Well, I guess he voice acted. Whatever.
自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか
Jesus fuck. Learn to talk.
おお。
知り合いからそう指摘されて混乱しちゃって。
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
I doubt it. Yua's eyes had been serious. It hadn't seemed at all like she was teasing me. I really sincerely doubt it. At the very least, Yua herself believed that what she was saying.
わかりません。
なるほど。ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？
Oh boy.
恋人？
はあ
What was he saying all of a sudden? And what did it have to do with anything?
いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。その知り合いの人は君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
That's not even another formulation. Oh, so that's what he meant. I shook my head.
じゃあ証拠はないわけだ。
I shook my head one more time.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて。
そういうことか。
But that's impossible, because if you look at the timestamps, he's talking to you from the future, and the other messages you give him take place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is when you were there. So he was talking to you from the day after, and you were talking to him all the time from the day itself. It is impossible. Therefore, you do not sleepwalk. It's not that kind of problem.
ちなみにこれまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
いえ。
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
いえ。
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
I nodded feebly, then took the plunge and opened my mouth.
僕寝てないんです。
もしかして怖いのかな？でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
いや、その。
That wasn't it. That wasn't what I wanted to say. But I didn't know how to explain it. And I couldn't get my thoughts in order. And as I remained at a loss, I lost the chance to speak up. After scribbling something on his clipboard, Dr. Takashina spun the chair he was sitting on so that his back was facing me, and leaned towards the back of the examining room.
葉月くん、ちょっと。
Hazuki?
はい。
Oh boy. A young nurse came running over. The doctor whispered some directions to her while showing her his clipboard. Oh, showing her his clipboard, huh? And she soon returned to the back of the room. What was going on? As I sat there in confusion, Dr. Takashina turned back to face me. Next, he told me all about somnambulism in a gentle tone of voice. When people fall asleep, they start off in REM sleep, then shift to non-REM sleep. REM sleep is what happens to your body, what happens when your body is resting, but your mind remains active, in a state of close to awakening. Indeed. And in opposition to that, non-REM sleep is what happens when your brain pauses its activity and you fall into a much deeper level of slumber.
無遊病はノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。脳が通常の活動をしていないから普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、 ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。原因としては精神的なストレスを抱えている時になりやすいんだ。
I've had it happen when I was sick from high levels of, I'm not going to say it, but something happened and I was kind of extremely sick, and when I fell asleep in my seat down here behind my computer, I'd wake up in my bed and not remember a thing about it. And I've been sleeping in my bed, and in the morning I wake up in my sofa right over here next to my computer, and I know I went to my bed. So I guess they must have researched that, because it makes sense from my case.
子供に多い症状だけど、成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。これで分かっただろ？深刻になることはないって言った意味が。
But I hadn't been asleep, though I hadn't slept. I couldn't remember what I had done. As for the period when Shogun posted his parts on the chat from room 37, I thought I was playing Ensu the whole time. Is this really what you call somnambulism? I wanted to ask him, but Dr. Takashina was steadily advancing his side of the conversation.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのはここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。
Holy fuck, that laugh.
ただ特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。例えば自分のベッドじゃないとダメとか、意識がない状態で出歩くにしても目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか、それとも何らかの脅迫観念があってそれに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。
For instance, it might have to be your own bed. That's what he's saying all now, but I was too scared to click because I thought it might skip his conversation. Even though you're walking around unconscious, there's a difference between being driven by some obsession, sequence of goals.
君の精神状態についても特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけど、ここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
There would be no harm in letting them check up on me. After I proved I wasn't a sleepwalker, I'd ask him my original question. Oh yeah, they closed those fucking blinds. They did that to me too when I was in the hospital. I'm like, why the fuck do my blinds need to be closed? I want to see when I'm about to get murdered, yes? The nurse named Hazuki led me to the diagnostic bag and the bed in the back. Due to the fact that it wasn't meant to be slept on, it was hard and uncomfortable. Well, I had no trouble dealing with it once I compared it to the sofa I usually slept on.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに行きますから。
Very good. This nurse was awfully cute. Lying on the bed, I stole glances at her while avoiding meeting her eyes. Her slightly childlike features made her seem undependable, somehow, and she gave off an aura of misfortune, but she was brisk and efficient when it came to her work. She felt like the type of heroine who might appear in an old-school eroge, one about twisted sex in hospitals. That's what I was thinking, really. She really looks like a reference to some old eroge from back in the 95s. Good times. Back when 16-bit pictures were having fun.
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
Yeah. Definitely make sure you keep looking at me. That won't cause stress by a guy who says, "Whose eyes are those eyes?" In other words, she would make sure of my safety even if I manifested symptoms of sleepwalking and started wandering around.
それではごゆっくり。
Ooh, her smile just changed. Who knows what she'll do? The nurse gave me a small smile, closed the curtains and left. Surrounded by blank white curtains, I released a deep breath. From around me I could hear the voices of the doctor and the patient he was examining, the sounds of other nurses pitter-pattering around, and the sound of the examining room door opening and closing. It was certainly hard to calm down. Would I be able to fall asleep under these conditions? Yup. Figuring it was just as I closed my eyes anyway. That's promising. No matter what I did, the Gura photo from Shogun and the cruelly murdered body from the scene of the staking seemed about to float into my head. Oh, if I took the red one, that'd be great. And so I forcibly began to picturing Serotan.
タッキー、外出嫌いなのに病院来るなんてすごい。
Thank you.
私前から思ってたんだけどさ、タッキーって実はすごく強い男の子だよね。
Yes. Yes. Sarah was quite lively in my fantasies. She sang out to me in that cute voice of hers.
私、そんなタッキーの強さが好き。
Oh boy.
それにタッキーは無遊病なんかじゃないよ。私毎日タッキーのこと見てるもん。だからわかるさ。
Oh boy.
三次元女になんか騙されちゃダメだぞ。タッキーには私がいるっしょ。またあのコンテナハウスで二人きりで過ごそうね。ボケナス。
Bokenasu. You're so adorable, Serotan. Serotan was my ideal bride, after all, and no woman could surpass her. Well, on this BGM, I think it's only natural we save. Let's overwrite this one. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. So thank you for watching, and I hope you're still interested. I should be able to record one more episode tonight, so that would be great. See you then.